Hey YouTube, Ron here with another book review. In this review, we're talking about the book Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. As a New York Times bestseller, he's probably best known for a TED Talk that he gave a number of years ago based on his first book, Start With Why. And in Leaders Eat Last, it's a really good book, fairly short, 200 or so pages, so you could polish it off in a week or two, depending on how fast you read, how much time you have. But he contrasts different leadership in different organizations. So everything from leadership in the Marines to submariner, to a submarine captain, to various corporate leaders. So he talks about like Jack Welch versus who ran GE for a number of years versus the CEO of Costco, and he talks about how their styles or various styles produce different results, right? How their differences in leadership really set the stage of how their companies ran after they left. Probably the coolest thing about this book that I didn't expect was when he talks about sometimes talking about the brain and like what motivates people in general. Not even talking about business, but just in general, like the four major chemicals. And he creates the acronym EDSO, which is, I have notes here, it's for endorphin, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, right? So, and he talks about how, because of, in many ways, lack of regulation and just changing in corporate culture, how so much of what happens in business is driven by a dopamine rush. You know, dopamine being like the same thing that like a drug addict gets, that high you get if someone does drugs or if you work out a lot, that rush you feel, that energetic feeling you get, the same feeling you get like whenever you that you spend money or you buy something, that good feeling, but that being the driving force in many organizations, it shows how it leads in many ways to misbehavior. So it was interesting because it was an easy enough book to where he could have just simply used examples and not necessarily gone into the science as to why certain businesses do better than others, but by adding, but the discussion about the chemicals and how what drives people in general, it really drove the point home. So it really showed how, probably the biggest thing that came out of the book is the importance of collaboration, right, and not being selfish. So if you're in a position of leadership in an organization, the importance of putting your people first, because if you put your people first, then they in turn will put the customer first, and then in turn you make money. So like almost many things, right? Like money is a byproduct of doing a bunch of other things right. Just like if you want if you want a six pack, right? You can't pursue a six pack directly. You say, okay, you have to eat properly, you have to diet and exercise, and a side effect of doing those things over a period of time is you get fit and you get a six pack, right? If that's your thing. So it's the same thing with effective companies, effective businesses. The point drove home like how leadership really has to, a good leadership rather, and in companies that last for long periods of time, put their people first, treat them well, set up an organization where there is a circle of safety, where the people that work there feel good about being at work, aren't always looking at the clock when it's time for them to leave, and that in turn carries over into how they treat the clients, which in turn makes money, right? Generates more revenue because you build a brand that people come to respect. And again, a side effect is you make lots and lots of money, which is why most organizations are around, right? So, really good book. Again, I'd recommend it. There's not a ton in here that you won't read in other good books on business. Probably the best chapter, again, for me out of this was like chapter 6, the one on the different, on the different drugs. It's not something, or the different, the chemicals that drive how our brain works and how we feel. That I thought was really good. Probably made it worth reading the book. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, the book is Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. I don't know if this is available in audiobook. I only had the hardback because again, it's a pretty short book and it's not heavy reading. So, it's not something that sit down for reading it for a couple hours is going to be difficult. So again, yeah, you can get this on Amazon is where I got my copy, and hopefully you found this review helpful. If there's anything I can be doing different or I can help with, if you have any questions about the book or anything that I may have left out, feel free to leave a comment below, and thanks again for listening.